of the ingredients, the initial amount, that's what we're finishing up now, then the folding, and then the sharpen and polish. And that's kind of how it's going with my life. So I will actually have kind of the first Pod Lair Truth Beacon in a few years, and I will be it in a few years. That's very, 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 very exciting. This is what gets me going. So just kind of sharing some of that with you. This is what motivates me, that sort of comic book. I want to be a hero that helps out humanity. That's what gets me going, and that's going to be a very cool character to be. Ooh, I gotta do another year of really hard work, another year or two. I'm gonna continue until I check out of here. But to get that truth beacon, be that guy, to be that person, to be that hero that I've always kind of imagined, masterful in the detective field that they do. I track human qualia. That is my field of expertise as far as a detective, and then I have my spiritual stuff, which is where I come from with it. But that is also based on my understanding of how nature is enacted, how it actually unfolds. And so when I have that, I can be Indiana Jones, I can be Sherlock Holmes, I can be Batman, I can be Doc Strange. Oh, it's so cool, so cool, so cool. I mean, not that it wasn't before, but there's like, Doc Strange in training. There's Sherlock Holmes like kind of learning his methodology to the point where he has his head around it. Kind of like the one in Elementary. He had a period of time where he was really kind of, messed up. He was still a very good detective, like better than other people were, but he didn't really have him sit how he works down, which is why he had problems with, heroin is the one with John Lee Miller. So he needs to actually deal with that before he could be like the Sherlock Holmes. And we actually arrive at that where the storytelling starts with the video, with the digital show we're watching there. But the actual story of him, he's Sherlock Holmes prior to that, but he's not the Fumasta Sherlock Holmes. So, Fumasta enough to be lead on cases prior, but not enough to earn a comic book. Not enough to earn a novel based on him, a novel series based on him. He's not that Fumasta yet. That's like, Grand Fumasta. So that's what I'm shooting for. All right, let's see. Ooh, this feels good. All right, boom, boom, boom. Pitching, doing open mics, samurai sword stuff. Anything else? Oh, I kind of mentioned it lightly, but I just mentioned it more. I really liked how they brought the spiritual aspect to the crafting of. If you ever get a chance to watch those, it's actually quite a spiritual thing, watching how they craft a sword. And it also, in a lot of positive ways, highlights how humans over other people, other species of animals, have not done that. But it does, to me, it shows a lot about what we might expect from other cultures, other species that do have our level of consciousness or greater, because it's not the same thing, but I'm pretty sure there was a similar arc when humans went from having no fire to fire. You know what I mean? So going from taking this hunk of metal that's in the ground and then making it into this, it doesn't seem possible, but it is. It's fascinating to study that process of how such a radical jump in human ability is accomplished. And it generally is a full tribal event that is supported by the tribe in general. In order to make that area that's doing that work, it needs the whole people. In our case, we have all the digital media. Whether they know it or not, they're all helping us. The entire world keeps wanting to get more cell phones. More people want cell phones so they can actually show themselves on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. So everyone is actually helping out our cause. So that's awesome. All right, but then also spiritual. It has to be approached spiritually, which we do in Pod Lair. You have to come at life and any activity in it with the spiritual level, the spiritual encompassment of what's going on. All right, boom, open mic adventures. Let's see, now some more fun stuff, I think. Well, that was fun, but more just kind of like, because I feel like it. But since I wrote it down, since next answer, and you're like, there's guys like, Well, you wrote it down, so you do want to talk about it. So sometimes they actually get me to do stuff I even want to do myself, but sometimes I don't feel compelled enough to do what I want to do, even though I want to do it. It's weird if that makes any sense, but that's how it works sometimes. And so they're like, no, you wrote it down, that means you want to do it, so do it. And I do it, and I'm like, you're right, I did want to do that. All right, let's see. Okay. Yeah, okay, I guess branding. Something I'm thinking about is that when I go up to the Pacific Northwest with Charlene, I will be entering a new phase, and I'll be sort of out a lot more. Here in Southern California, I've been in the cave most of the time. But there, I think it'll be time to be out more. I've gotten to that point where that'll be the main thing I'm doing. One of the main things. It'll be at least one of the main things that I am doing. So I want to anticipate that. As a part of that, there's branding and things I've been thinking of. One is talking with the team about how we speak on the phenomenon with different words, right? Qualia, mojo, essence, soul, cognitive configuration, etc. Essence, because one, it can help you look at the phenomenon from a different headspace, and it also allows you to speak to certain people in a headspace they're comfortable with. They'll talk to you about the phenomenon in terms of qualia, but not in terms of soul. You know what I mean? Things of that nature. So that's good to know. And so you're still being truthful, but you're presenting in a facet that works. So something I've been thinking about is some branding things I might want to play with. A big one, and one, most of these are things that'll be more conversational. It won't change the literature at all. One, though, that might be a change I might even do in the literature is Rosetta Stone of the Human Soul. Because talking with the guys a lot, we've been throwing around these different words, and the one that just seems to fit as far as, I don't know, a center is human condition. And it's one I do use a lot, like, you know, the case of the human condition and the meaning of existence. So human condition, I think, is a wording that would be understandable and palatable and relatable to people who are coming from a spiritual background, a religious background, an academic background, a naturalist background, a street urban background. Even a person on the street gets it. Human condition, I get it, what it means to be a human. So I think I might make it Rosetta Stone of the human condition. I'm not sure about that yet, but I'm pondering on that because I want it to be the most unifying as far as what it's doing, while still being authentic to what it is. So it is the Rosetta Stone. I could choose a lot of different words. I could say Rosetta Stone of Mojo, but people don't know what Mojo is. So that's why we say Rosetta Stone of Human Soul. But I think human condition might make it the most neutral, while still being correct, still being authentic and honest. So I'm playing around with that. Okay, that's one that might be bigger. These other ones are more conversational things, such as, let's see, get where it was. Well, anyway, I don't remember all of them. I forgot. I had another list somewhere, but it's okay. But long story short is, actually two. Okay, I think I have it. There may have been three, so I may be forgetting one. But anyway, one is qualia. I've noticed that it feels natural to call it qualia, human qualia, and people do not get as weirded out as by the word mojo. I like the word mojo as our main one, as like the top word, because it's sort of unique. And so therefore can belong to anyone. But I think there also needs to be sort of cultural variations. And so like for language, for example. So I think the qualia is like an English word for, or at least, you know, of a certain kind of language sectoring for mojo, for the mojo phenomenon. So we can use that, I think, in parlance with people who are, you know, English speakers, and even other people who that word would make more sense to them to mojo at first. So it's like a linguistical thing because they have a very interchangeable meaning. They're just looking at it from different perspectives. So leading with human qualia. So in the literature, I still want to kind of leave the Mojo thing because I like the cool branding of that and so forth, but actually increasing the usage of the word qualia and make them interchangeable through the literature so that when we're on the street, we can actually use the word qualia, and then when people go look at the literature to follow up, it has the word qualia and Mojo used rather interchangeably. So increasing the interchangeableness of them in the literature, and then when speaking, the word qualia seems to be easier for people to understand. Especially since you go, one, it's not as, I say, odd sounding. It sounds, so not as odd, but also it sounds sort of technical, which means that even though they don't understand it most of the time, they feel like that's more on them. They feel it's more on them because it sounds like a technical word, qualia, okay. And then jumping to quality a human has, and that's what we're reading, it's a nice smooth transition. It's not weird, and then you say it, they're like, oh, it sounds like a technical word, and then quality, is it like quality? It is quality, a quality they have, which gives them cues we read. Okay, and so it's a nice smoother arc, so that'll probably be the mainstay I use there. The other one I'm thinking of is the Mojos themselves. The words. Again, I like Naiji because it's a unique word, which I'm thinking I'm going to use a lot. All those kind of words in Martian Manifesto. I'm going to make it as cool as I can make it. I think it's fucking cool. Excuse me. I think it's shiny cool. I think it's shiny cool. And so I'm going to actually brand it that way. And so I want to keep that as our lead. But since people seem to respond more to the technical and we're kind of teaching them like they're children, I'm thinking about actually going with the colors. Blue-red. Blue-red means Naiji in Podlair. So I think when I explain to people, I'll just tell them, we color code the different processes so that it's easy, because it's kind of like math, and the colors help to remember. They're like, okay. And then I tell them they're the blue-red, they're the purple-pink, the pink-purple, whatever it is, the steel-green, you know, whatever. They sound pretty cool, and I think they immediately grab people and they can visualize. And so also I think it makes a connection to the colors we use rather immediate, which could be quite a positive. So again, it's not as odd sounding. Color coding sounds official or technical, and it corresponds completely with what we're doing. In fact, it prepares them at least one step even more than Mojo did of the color coding they're going to see with the designs, Mojo designs, and all the powers. So that's what I'm thinking. So again, I don't think that will need to change the literature at all. Because we already have it visually color coded, so they know when they come in, they say Nija, like, yeah, they said we're purple pink. Oh, it's a purple pink one. It's right there. It's the coloring. So that's the plan. But we may actually increase the textual presence of the word qualia to make it more synonymous with Mojo. Boom. So those things I'm thinking to help make my next shape-shifting into my next character, which is going to be a much more adventuring outdoors character. Talking to people character, I want to have the right tools. So I think that's going to be good adjustments. By the way, playing these video games has really helped refine the process of optimizing one's character. You know what I mean? You know, you go through all these different things, these sort of semi-open worlds, and you have to make sure, okay, I got to do these little side quests, but I also got to stay focused on the overall arc, and I need the right setup for each stage to do as best as possible. Very cool. So thank you, video games. All right, let's see. TV. Also, as a part of that, I'll also even be more engaged online. So I'm going, once I have that Truth Beacon in that better shape. Oh, am I running out? Oh, I'm running out. I got to go fast. Okay, I've actually been talking for a while. Okay, I'll go quick here. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, that threw me off. Oh. Anyway, I'll come back to it. Oh, Typology Town. Yes, but it's more than that. I'm going to be more outgoing, so that includes going to open mics, but also includes just telling people more about my story, having the best words possible for doing that in person, in coffee shops I hang out, or just in general walking around, making friends while hiking or whatever, but also online. So I'll be more on the Facebook, getting into what's going on with pop culture and so forth, but also we'll be revisiting Typology Town, but that's going to be after I flip all the, because we really need to have ourselves together for that engagement. I want to, for our next time engaging them, and so I want to flip as many bubbles as I can that are reasonable to get into, that will be relevant to set us up for a return to Typology Town. But as be part of an overall, I'll be more engaged socially on the web as well as in person and on stage. All right. I think it's basically everything. Oh, I'll just give you a little nugget here. Is I asked my spirits, Nexi and Serenity, about going specifically after the Avalon ladies. I was like, isn't that an issue doing that? And they're like, no, it's okay if you do it just for this particular part of the climb. So it's like, recognize it's a challenging arc of climb, but it's okay because it's the most. It is actually the most tactically and harmonious thing to be doing right now, even though it is challenging. It's like, okay, so that made me feel good about that, and then they gave me energy to go with, which is going to the video store. As a child, I would go to the video store and I would be in certain moods. I needed certain things. And one of the things I needed, probably more than any of the other things, was AdRom. I needed female AdRom energy. And so I would actually go, and I chose a lot of movies by scouring the pictures of people on the cover posters and so forth, and getting vibes of what I was going to get when I watched it. And a lot of times the story wouldn't even matter. It would be certain performers that would tell me I was going to get what I needed here. So they're telling me, be careful, because it's challenging, but that is going to give you quite a wheelhouse of motivation and aesthetic nuance. That's a very powerful mode. If I can get in touch with that, that's like getting to Shiny Baby. She basically connected to my Shiny Baby and my Fumasta through that, through it. I believe I will be able to be Fumasta because Nexi is connecting to like a Shiny Baby ritual I did, reading posters of movies in video shops. So that's my plan for my next push. I'm looking forward to it. All right, boom. So thank you again. Have a wonderful year, and we'll keep on. Oh, boom. That timed up perfectly.